stood at the viewing window of Earth's orbital station and watched the refugee ships approach. There were 12 vessels, all of them damaged and moving slowly through space. Some had burn marks on their hulls. Others had patches welded over holes. These ships had traveled far and they looked ready to fall apart. "Sir, they're requesting permission to dock," said the communication officer behind him. Nodded, "Granted, and prepare the medical teams." He had been commander of Earth's First Contact Division for 3 years. In that time, he had met 17 different alien species. Some came to trade, others came to share knowledge, but these aliens were different. They were running from something. The ships docked one by one, walked down to the arrival bay with his security team. The airlock door opened with a hiss and the aliens stepped through. Had seen their images in the distress call, but seeing them in person was different. They were humanoid, roughly the same size as humans, but their skin was like crystal. It was translucent and reflected light in strange ways. As they walked, their skin changed colors. Right now, most of them were showing dark blue and gray shades. "I am," he said, stepping forward. "Welcome to Earth Station 1. One of the aliens stepped forward. She wore simple robes that looked worn and patched. Through the translation device on her wrist, her words came through clearly. I speak for the people. We are grateful you answered our call. No one else would." Gestured to the medical teams waiting nearby. "Let us help your people first, then we can talk." Over the next few hours, the refugees came through. There were 5,000 of them, spread across the 12 ships. Doctors moved among them, scanning them with medical equipment and providing food and water. Noticed that many of them were thin, too thin. Their ships had been running low on supplies. Arrived at the station that evening. She was Earth's chief, the best person to examine a new species. Met her in the medical wing. "What do we know?" asked, pulling on her lab coat. "Not much," said. "They say the galaxy rejected them. They won't tell me why until their people are stable." Spent hours examining them with their permission. She scanned their crystalline skin, took samples, and ran every test she could think of. Late that night, she found in his office. "They're radioactive," she said, sitting down heavily in the chair. Looked up sharply. "Dangerous." "No, that's the strange part." Pulled up her data on a screen. "They emit low-level radiation from their crystalline skin. It's a genetic mutation that appeared about 20 years ago, but the radiation level is so low that it's harmless to almost every species we know about. Simple shielding would block it completely." "Then why would the galaxy reject them?" "That's what I want to know." The next day came to his office. Her skin had changed to lighter shades of blue and green. The translation device told him this meant she was feeling more hopeful. She sat across from him and began to speak. "We were once a proud civilization. We had colonies on 6 worlds. We traded with the Galactic Council and lived in peace. Then the mutation began. At first, it affected only a few thousand of our people, but it spread. Within 10 years, half our population had crystalline skin. The council noticed," she continued. "They sent inspectors, scientists. They measured and tested everything. Then they declared us a biological hazard. They said we were dangerous to other species. They gave us 30 days to evacuate all council-controlled space." Leaned forward. "What did you do?" "We tried to explain. Our own scientists proved the radiation was harmless, but the council would not listen. They expelled us. We gathered everyone who had the mutation and left we hoped to find shelter somewhere else." "How many civilizations did you ask?" Skin turned darker. 17. Every one of them said no. Some were afraid of the council's anger. Others simply did not want to take the risk. "We have been traveling for 2 years and our supplies are almost gone. You are our last hope." Stood and walked to the window. He could see Earth below, blue and green and beautiful. Humanity had only joined the galactic community 50 years ago. They were still newcomers, still learning. If they helped there would be consequences. A young diplomat named Park had been assigned to help with the refugees. He spent his days in the refugee quarters, learning their language and culture. One day he met a young woman named. She was teaching children in a makeshift classroom. "What are you teaching them?" asked. "History," said. Her skin was bright yellow, which meant curiosity. "I am teaching them about ours so they will not forget." "Do you think you will ever go back?" Was quiet for a moment. "No, our belongs to others now. The council gave it away after we left. We have no home anymore." Felt anger rise in his chest. "That is not right." "The galaxy does not care about right or wrong," said sadly. "Only about safety and profit." That evening, reported to about what he had learned. The commander listened carefully. "Sir, they have done nothing wrong," said. "They are refugees, not criminals. We should help them." "I agree," said, "but this decision is bigger than us." The United Earth government held an emergency session. Representatives from every nation gathered to debate the issue. The meeting was broadcast live across Earth and all human colonies. Some representatives argued for helping They spoke about human values and compassion. Others argued against it. They warned about angering the Galactic Council. Earth depended on trade with other species. If the Council punished them, millions of humans could suffer. The debate went on for 3 days. Spoke to the Assembly on the second day. "I have examined them thoroughly. The radiation they emit is less than what humans receive from a dental X-ray. We face more radiation risk from our own sun. The Council's fear has no scientific basis." On the third day, spoke. He stood before the Assembly and told them everything he had learned about He spoke about and the children who had no home. He spoke about the 17 rejections and the 2 years of wandering. "If we turn them away, where will they go?" he asked. "They will die in space. We have the power to save 5,000 lives. The only question is whether we have the courage." The vote was close, but humanity chose compassion. Earth would grant the asylum. When to tell the news. When she heard, her skin burst into brilliant gold and white, colors of pure joy. She fell to her knees and wept. "We will give you settlements on Mars and Europa," said. "You will be safe here." That night the Galactic Council sent a message to Earth. It was short and cold. "You have been warned. Harboring biological hazards violates Council regulations. There will be consequences." Read the message and then deleted it. Whatever came next, humanity would face it together with The galaxy had rejected them, but Earth had opened its doors. 3 years had passed since they arrived on Earth. The settlements on Mars and Europa were growing well. Minyu Lee stood on the red soil of Mars and watched construction crews work on the building. He was an architect from Seoul, and he had never imagined he would be designing cities for aliens. The building taking shape before him was beautiful. It combined human steel and concrete with crystal structures. The crystals grew naturally when they used their technology on them. They absorbed sunlight during the day and glowed softly at night. The energy they collected powered the entire building. "It is beautiful," said a worker beside him, "like a piece of home and a piece of your home together." Minyu smiled. "That is exactly what I hoped for." The Mars settlement housed 3,000 now. They lived side by side with human colonists. Children from both species played together in the parks. Markets sold both human and food. The two cultures were blending in ways that surprised everyone. On Europa, Sora Han was teaching a class of mixed students. 15 human children sat next to 12 children in her classroom. Today's lesson was about communication. "Children," Sora said, "can you show the human children how you express happiness?" The children's skin all changed to bright gold and yellow. They sparkled in the classroom light. The human children gasped with delight. "And how do you show sadness?" Sora asked. The colors shifted to deep blue and purple. The change was so dramatic that some of the human children reached out to touch their classmates gently. You see, Sora said, they have a whole language in their colors. We communicate with words and faces. They communicate with their whole bodies. One human girl raised her hand. Do they understand our faces? We are learning, said a boy. At first, human expressions were very confusing, but now I can tell when my human friends are happy or sad. Sora watched the children interact with each other after class. This was the future, she thought. A generation that grew up together would build something better than what came before. But not everything was going well. The Galactic Council had made good on their threat. They imposed sanctions on Earth and all human colonies. Trade routes were blocked. Human merchant ships were turned away from council stations. Materials that Earth needed for construction and medicine became hard to find. Shin was captain of the merchant vessel. He had been trading with alien civilizations for 10 years. Now, every port he visited turned him away. I am sorry, the station master at the trading hub told him. The council has forbidden us from trading with humans. If we disobey, they will sanction us too. Returned to his ship empty-handed. His cargo hold was full of Earth goods, but no one would buy them. His crew needed to earn money to support their families back home. What do we do, Captain? His first officer asked. We find another way, said, but he was not sure what that way would be. Back on Earth, politicians were getting angry. The economy was suffering. Some representatives who had voted to help though were now calling for them to be relocated. The pressure was building. Had been promoted to Earth's ambassador to the galaxy. His job now was to negotiate with the council and try to end the sanctions. He traveled to Threshold Station, a neutral meeting place where different civilizations gathered. The council meeting room was large and cold. Representatives from 20 different species sat in a circle, stood in the center, the only human present. The Archon Chancellor spoke first. The Archons controlled the council, and everyone knew it. Ambassador, you are here to discuss Earth's violation of council regulations. You harbor biological hazards against our explicit warnings. They are not hazardous, said calmly. Our scientists have proven this. I can provide the data again. The council's scientists have already ruled on this matter, the Chancellor said. His voice was cold. Your primitive compassion is admirable but foolish. You risk the safety of the entire galaxy for a species that should be quarantined. They are not diseased, said his voice rising slightly. They are refugees, innocent people who needed help. Then you leave us no choice, the Chancellor said. The sanctions will continue. Furthermore, we are expanding them. Human ships will be banned from all council space. Human colonies will receive no aid or trade. You will be isolated until you see reason. Felt anger burn in his chest, but he kept his voice steady. Every sentient species has value. They are people, not problems. If the council cannot see that, then perhaps the council is the problem. The room went silent. No one spoke to the Archons that way. You may leave, the Chancellor said coldly. As walked out, one alien representative followed him into the hallway. She was from a small species called the... She looked around nervously before speaking. What you said in there, she whispered, many of us feel the same way, but we cannot say it. The Archons control too much. Then help us, said, stand with Earth. We cannot, not yet, but I wanted you to know you are not alone in your thinking. Then she hurried away before anyone could see them talking. Returned to Earth with bad news. The sanctions would continue. Things would get worse before they got better. The government called another emergency session. We cannot continue like this, one representative said. Our people are suffering. Perhaps we should ask them to leave. No, said another. We made a promise. We do not break our promises. The debate was fierce. Watched and said nothing. He had done all he could. Then asked to speak to the assembly. She stood before the human government, her skin showing deep blue sadness. "We do not wish to cause suffering for humanity," she said. "You have given us more than we ever hoped for. If our presence brings you pain, we will leave. We will find another way." "Where will you go?" someone asked. "I do not know," admitted, "but we will not let you sacrifice yourselves for us." Stood up from her seat. "Perhaps there is another way. They have technology we have been studying. Their crystal energy systems are far more advanced than ours. If they share this technology with us, we could become energy independent. We would need less from the council." "Will you share your technology?" the assembly leader asked. Skin turned bright orange, which meant surprise and hope. "Of course. We had planned to offer it as thanks for your help. We did not know if you would be interested." "Very interested," said. Over the next months, scientists worked with human engineers. They taught them how to grow the energy crystals, how to make them absorb and store solar power, how to build structures that needed almost no external power source. Ship the became one of the first vessels retrofitted with crystal engines. The new engines were faster and needed no fuel. He could travel without depending on council refueling stations. "This changes everything," told his crew. "We can go anywhere now." Minu designed new buildings using the crystal technology. Entire cities could be powered by sunlight now. Energy costs dropped. Earth was becoming stronger, not weaker. Sora's students learned about the technology in school. Human and children worked together on projects, building small crystal structures. The children taught. The human children learned. Together, they created things neither species could make alone. In the Mars settlement, the first hybrid neighborhood was completed. Humans and lived in the same buildings. They shopped at the same markets. Their children attended the same schools. It was not perfect, but it was working. Received a message from the representative he had met at Threshold. It was encrypted and brief. "Others are watching. Others are questioning. What you are doing matters. Keep going." He shared the message with no one, but it gave him hope. Earth was isolated now, cut off from the galaxy, but they were not alone, and they were not weak. They had been rejected by everyone, but humanity had welcomed them, and in return, they were helping humanity become something stronger. Bay was a journalist who never stopped asking questions. She worked for the largest news network on Earth, investigating stories that others missed. For months, she had been trying to understand why the Galactic Council really expelled the official reason made no sense. The science did not support it. One morning, she received a message on her encrypted channel. It came from an anonymous source who claimed to work inside the Council administration. "I have documents," the message said. "They prove what really happened to the meet me at Threshold Station. Come alone." Knew this could be dangerous. It could also be a trap, but she was a journalist. Finding the truth was her job. She took a shuttle to Threshold Station and waited at the designated meeting point, a quiet cafe in the neutral zone. A figure approached wearing a hooded cloak. When they sat down, saw they were the same small species that had spoken to months ago. "Why are you doing this?" asked. "Because it is wrong," they said. "What they did to the was wrong. What they are doing to your people is wrong. Someone must tell the truth." They handed her a data chip. "Everything is here. Financial records, internal council communications, scientific reports that were suppressed. Read it carefully." Then they stood and left quickly. Sat alone with the data chip, her heart beating fast. Back on Earth, spent days reviewing the files. What she found made her sick with anger. The documents told a clear story. 20 years ago, they had developed their crystal energy technology. It was revolutionary. It could provide unlimited clean energy using only sunlight. They offered to share it with the galaxy through the Council. But the Archon Empire controlled the galaxy's energy distribution. They sold fusion cores to every civilization. Energy was their biggest source of wealth and power. The technology would destroy that monopoly. The Archons could not simply refuse the technology. That would look suspicious. Instead, they created a plan. They paid their scientists to write false reports about the mutation. They exaggerated the radiation danger. They pressured council members to declare a biological hazard. The internal messages were clear. One Archon official wrote, "The technology must be eliminated. If they are expelled from council space, their technology goes with them. No one will trust the science of hazardous refugees." Another message said, "We have convinced 8 civilizations to reject their asylum requests. Keep pressure on the others. They must find no shelter." But the Archons had not counted on Earth. Humanity was too new to the galaxy to understand the Archons' power. Earth had said yes when everyone else said no. Published her findings the next day. The story exploded across human media. Everyone was outraged. They had been exiled not for safety, but for profit. Everything they had suffered was because of greed. But when tried to share the story with the wider galaxy, no one would broadcast it. Alien news networks refused to run the story. They called it human propaganda. The council issued a statement saying the documents were fake. Only a few small civilizations expressed doubt. Most of the galaxy either believed the council or was too afraid to question them. Brought the evidence to Threshold Station. He demanded the council hold hearings and investigate the claims. The Archon Chancellor refused. "These documents are fabricated," the Chancellor said. "Your journalist is spreading lies to justify your violation of council law." "Let independent scientists examine the again," argued. "Let them test the radiation levels, prove that our science is wrong. We have already conducted tests. The matter is closed." Realized the council would never admit the truth. They had too much to lose. He returned to Earth knowing that words would not solve this problem. Meanwhile was commander of Earth's defense fleet. He had spent his career as a military officer, and he understood strategy. His job was to watch for threats and keep Earth safe. His monitoring stations had been tracking ship movements throughout the region. Over the past month, he had noticed something troubling. Archon warships were gathering near human space. More ships arrived each week. "This is not normal patrol activity," his intelligence officer said, showing him the data. "They are staging for something." "An invasion?" asked. "Possibly, or they plan to forcibly remove them from our protection. Either way, they are preparing for military action." Took the information to the Earth government. The news caused panic. Earth's military was strong, but it was nothing compared to the Archon Empire. The Archons had been spacefaring for thousands of years. Their technology was far more advanced. "How many ships do they have?" the defense minister asked. "Our estimates suggest at least 300 warships," said. "We have 70 ships in our defense fleet. We are badly outnumbered." "Can we win?" Was quiet for a moment. "If they attack with full force, no, we cannot win a direct battle." The room fell silent. Everyone understood what this meant. Earth had tried to do the right thing. Now they might pay for it with their freedom. Park had been working quietly for months on something else. He had used his diplomatic contacts to reach out to other species. Not publicly, but in secret messages and private conversations. He had found others who were tired of Archon dominance. They had always been friendly. The civilization had once questioned the Archon energy monopoly and been punished economically. They had lost there in a territorial dispute that the council ruled in favor of the Archons. There were others, small civilizations that had grievances but feared acting alone. Brought representatives from 12 species together in a hidden meeting on a remote asteroid. They gathered in secret, knowing that if the Archons discovered this meeting, there would be consequences. "Earth cannot fight the Archons alone," told them, "but together we might have a chance, not to fight but to resist." "How?" asked the representative. "The Archons control the council. They control trade routes. They control energy distribution. How can we stand against that? The crystal technology said, Earth is sharing it freely with anyone who wants it. You do not need to buy Archon fusion cores anymore. You can be energy independent. But if we accept this technology, the Archons will punish us, said the representative. They are already punishing Earth, said, but Earth is still standing. We have grown stronger, not weaker. You can do the same. The representatives talked for hours. They were afraid, but they were also angry. The Archons had controlled them for too long. What do you need from us? The representative asked finally. Information, intelligence about Archon military movements. Help us prepare for what is coming. We are not warriors, one representative said. We cannot fight the Archons. I am not asking you to fight, said. I am asking you to stand with us, to show the galaxy that the Archons do not speak for everyone. One by one, the representatives agreed. They would share intelligence with Earth. They would quietly adopt the technology. They would prepare for the day when they could openly oppose the Archons. But that day had not yet come. Upgraded Earth's defenses as much as possible. He strengthened orbital platforms. He positioned his fleet strategically. Engineers helped him understand Archon military tactics. They had fought the Archons before, in the early days of their exile. The Archons rely on their superior firepower, told him. They expect quick victories, but they are not used to determined resistance. How did your people fight them? We did not, said sadly. We ran. We had no allies. No one would help us. But you are different. You have Earth. You have us. And you have friends you do not even know about yet. Made a decision that would define his career. He recorded a message to the Archon Empire. It was brief and clear. We know the truth we know about your lies and your greed. We will not surrender them to you. Earth will stand by its principles no matter the cost. If you want you will have to go through us. He sent the message openly, broadcasting it across all channels so the entire galaxy could hear. The Archon response came 48 hours later. It was an official declaration. The Archon Empire demands that Earth surrender all refugees within 7 days. If Earth refuses, we will act to protect galactic safety by any means necessary. This is your final warning. The countdown had begun. In 7 days, Earth would either surrender or face the full might of the Archon military. Minyu looked up at the sky from his Mars settlement. Somewhere up there, warships were coming. Sora held her students close, trying not to let them see her fear. Prepared his merchant ship for combat, even though he was not a warrior. And stood firm, knowing that history would judge them for this moment. They had welcomed the rejected. Now they would defend them whatever the price. 7 days passed quickly. On the 8th day, the Archon Armada arrived at the edge of Earth's solar system. Watched them appear on his screens, ship after ship dropping out of hyperspace. He counted them as they came. 200, 250, 300. 300 warships, his tactical officer said quietly. They brought everything. His defense fleet consisted of 70 ships. They were good ships, built with the best human technology and improved with crystal systems. But 70 against 300 was not a battle. It was a massacre waiting to happen. Move the fleet into defensive formation, ordered. Protect Earth and the lunar colonies. Do not fire unless fired upon. His ships spread out, creating a thin line between the Archons and humanity's home. It would not be enough. Everyone knew it would not be enough. But they would stand anyway. The Archon Chancellor sent a message. His face appeared on every screen throughout human space. This is your last opportunity, he said. Surrender within 1 hour. If you refuse, we will remove them by force. We will occupy Earth and its colonies until the biological hazard is contained. Choose wisely. 1 hour, 60 minutes to decide the future of 2 species. On Earth, people watched the skis. On Mars, Minu gathered the families in the central square. Whatever happens, he told them, you are not alone anymore. On Europa, Sora kept teaching her class even though the parents wanted to take their children home. If this is our last day of peace, she said, let us spend it learning together. Stood in the command center watching the clock count down, 45 minutes, 30 minutes, 20 minutes. Sir, his communication officer said, we are receiving a message, multiple messages, from civilian ships. What kind of civilian ships? All kinds, from different species. They are dropping out of hyperspace near our position. Saw them on his tactical display. 7 ships appeared first, then more. They were not warships. They were merchant vessels, colony ships, passenger transports. They came from different civilizations. Others. What are they doing? Asked. Then the lead ship sent a message. It was the vessel, the same species that had helped get the truth. We are here to stand with Earth, the captain said. We are non-combatants seeking peaceful resolution. We call upon the Galactic Council to negotiate rather than use force. More ships arrived, dozens of them. They positioned themselves between Earth and the Archon Armada, not to fight but simply to be there, to be in the way. They are creating a shield, realized. If the Archons want to attack Earth, they will have to go through civilians from multiple species. Was there, too, his merchant ship joining the formation. He had sent messages to every independent trader he knew. Many of them had come. We are with you, Earth, broadcast. You stood with them, we stand with you. The Archon Chancellor watched this development with cold fury. His tactical advantage was crumbling. He could still win the battle, but it would mean destroying civilian ships from multiple civilizations. The political cost would be enormous. Clear the area, he ordered the civilian fleet. This is a council military operation. Leave or be classified as combatants. We are not combatants, the captain replied. We are civilians exercising our right to travel freely. This is neutral space. You have no authority to order us away. The clock reached 0. The hour had passed. Earth had not surrendered. The Archon Chancellor made his decision. Prepare to advance. Clear those civilian ships out of our path. But before the Archons could move, something else happened. Made his move, the one he had been planning with and the scientists for weeks. Broadcast the signal, he ordered. Every human station and ship began transmitting simultaneously. It was not a weapon, it was information. The complete specifications for the crystal energy technology, detailed instructions on how to grow the crystals, how to build the energy systems, how to make them work. The transmission was sent to every known civilization in the galaxy, to every ship, to every station, to every world with a receiver. We are giving this technology to everyone, announced on open channels. Free of charge, no restrictions, no patents, any species can use it, energy independence for all. Appeared in a secondary broadcast explaining the science. She showed how safe the radiation was. She showed how the energy system worked. She showed how it would end energy poverty across the galaxy. The Archons told you they were dangerous, she said. They lied. They lied because this technology threatens their control, but now everyone can see the truth. Now everyone can choose. The galaxy watched. Billions of beings across hundreds of worlds received the transmission. They saw the data. They saw the proof. They understood what had been taken from them. The Archon Chancellor knew immediately what this meant. His empire's greatest source of power and wealth was being destroyed. The energy monopoly was broken. By giving the technology away freely, Earth had made it impossible for the Archons to maintain control. This is economic warfare, the Chancellor said. This is freedom, replied. The civilian ships between Earth and the Archons began to multiply. More ships arrived every minute. Word had spread across the galaxy. Ships from civilizations that had never spoken to Earth before came to witness this moment. The Archon warships sat in space, weapons ready but not firing. The Chancellor could give the order to attack, but what would it accomplish? The technology was already released. Destroying Earth would change nothing. It would only make Earth martyrs and turn the entire galaxy against the Archons. "We could still win the battle," the Archon tactical officer said. "But we have already lost everything else," the Chancellor replied bitterly. For 6 hours the two fleets faced each other. Neither moved. The tension was unbearable. Then slowly the Archon ships began to withdraw, not all at once but gradually. They pulled back to the edge of the system. "They are leaving," said, not quite believing it. "Not leaving," said one of his officers. "Repositioning. They are setting up a blockade at the system's edge." The Archon Chancellor sent one final message. "You have made an enemy today, Earth. The Archon Empire does not forget. We declare Earth and its allies enemies of the Galactic Council. You are outside Council protection. Any ship that trades with you will face sanctions. Any civilization that allies with you will be considered hostile. You wanted independence. Now you have isolation." The transmission ended. The Archon fleet maintained their blockade position but did not advance. On Earth, people celebrated in the streets. They had faced the greatest power in the galaxy and survived. They wept with relief, their skin showing colors of joy and gratitude that humans had never seen before. But did not celebrate. He understood what had happened. Earth had won the battle, but a larger struggle was just beginning. The Archons would never forgive this humiliation. They would work to isolate Earth and destroy any civilization that supported them. "What do we do now?" asked him. "We build something new," said. "The old order is broken. We need to create a new one." That night published a follow-up story. She had been monitoring transmissions from across the galaxy. The response to the technology release was overwhelming. Thousands of civilizations were downloading the specifications. Many were already beginning to build their own crystal energy systems. But more importantly, the story about the exile was spreading. Now that people had the evidence and the technology, they could see the truth. The Archons had lied. They had destroyed an entire civilization's home to protect their profits. Public opinion was shifting. Not everywhere and not quickly, but it was shifting. People were asking questions. Why did the Council allow this? Why did no one help why should the Archons control so much? In the Mars settlement, Minu stood with under the stars. The Archon fleet was visible as a cluster of lights at the system's edge, a reminder that the threat had not truly gone away. "You risked everything for us," said. "Your world, your freedom, why?" "Because it was right," Minu said simply. "And because we have learned something in our history. When you let cruelty happen to others, eventually it happens to you. Standing up for you meant standing up for ourselves too." On Europa, Sora's students made drawings of the day the ships came. Human children drew side by side with children, illustrating the moment when the galaxy changed. Their pictures showed hope and courage, and the belief that tomorrow could be better than today. And his fellow traders began organizing convoys. If the Archons would blockade Earth, then they would find ways around the blockade. There were always smugglers' routes, always quiet deals between independent captains. Trade would continue, just underground. And in his command center began planning for the future. Earth needed allies, real allies who would stand openly, not just civilian ships creating temporary shields. He needed to build a force that could defend not just Earth, but all those who rejected Archon control. The battle was over, but the real work was just beginning. 5 years had passed since the day the Archon fleet arrived at Earth. The galaxy was different now, transformed in ways no one had predicted. Stood in the command center of Accord Station, the headquarters of the alliance that had grown from that confrontation. The station was massive, built in neutral space beyond any single civilization's control. Through the windows, he could see ships from 40 different species docked at the station's ports. The Accord of Free Systems had started with just 12 civilizations. The ones had secretly contacted, the ones who had sent civilian ships to shield Earth. They had met quietly at first, afraid of Archon retaliation. But as more species adopted the crystal technology and broke free from Archon energy control, the movement grew. Now 40 civilizations were members. More were joining every month. The Galactic Council still existed, but it was smaller now. 12 civilizations had formally withdrawn to join the Accord. Others had simply stopped paying attention to council edicts. "Ambassador," said an aide approaching him, "the assembly is ready for your address." Walk through the station's corridors toward the central chamber. The walls were decorated with artwork from dozens of worlds. Human paintings hung next to crystal sculptures. Tapestries shared space with stone carvings. This was what the galaxy should have been all along, he thought. Different voices creating something beautiful together. The assembly chamber was full. Representatives from every member civilization sat in circular rows, took his place at the center podium. He was the Accord's first secretary, chosen because Earth had sparked this movement. 5 years ago, he began, humanity made a choice. We welcomed when the galaxy rejected them. We did not know what would happen, we only knew it was right. He paused, looking around at the faces watching him. So many different species, all here because they wanted something better than what the old order offered. Today we are stronger together than we ever were apart. The Archon Empire still threatens us. The old council still tries to isolate us, but we are not isolated. We are united. Sat in the human delegation section, listening. Her work over these 5 years had been incredible. She led research teams that included scientists from 23 different species. They were not just studying technology anymore. They were combining knowledge from all member civilizations, creating innovations none of them could have achieved alone. The crystal energy technology had evolved. It was now integrated with metallurgy and quantum research. The new systems were even more efficient, producing more energy while using less space. Energy poverty was disappearing in Accord space. Every world, even the colonies, could now power themselves. Had just published a paper on cross-species medical research. Healing crystals combined with human pharmaceutical knowledge and biological understanding. They had developed treatments for diseases that had plagued all 3 species. The paper was already being downloaded millions of times across Accord worlds. After the assembly, met within one of the station's laboratories, was now the head scientist in the Accord, respected throughout the Alliance for her brilliance. "How are the new medical trials going?" asked. "Better than expected," said, her skin showing golden excitement. "We have reduced the symptoms of bone disease by 70%, and the treatment for human cardiac conditions is showing promise too. Your people have given us so much," said. "I am glad we could help you when you needed it." "You did more than help," replied. "You showed the galaxy that compassion is not weakness. That is a lesson worth more than any technology." On Mars, Minyu was overseeing the expansion of New Harmony, the settlement that had become a model for Accord integration. The city now housed 50,000 beings from 12 different species. They lived and worked together, creating a culture that belonged to all of them. The architecture was stunning. Crystal towers grew alongside human skyscrapers. Garden structures wound through the streets. Stone plazas provided gathering spaces. Every building incorporated elements from multiple species. "It is beautiful," said a young architect from a newly joined civilization. "We want to build something like this on our world. Can you help us?" "Of course," Minyu said. "That is what the Accord is for. We share knowledge. We help each other build better futures." He thought about his first days on Mars, working with just a handful of human builders. Now entire teams of mixed-species architects designed cities across dozens of worlds. The fear and prejudice that had divided the galaxy was fading, replaced by cooperation and creativity. Sora's educational programs had spread throughout the Accord. The integration schools she pioneered on Europa were now the standard. Children from different species learned together, played together, grew up as friends instead of strangers. She was training teachers now, helping them understand how to create classrooms where every species felt welcome. It was challenging work. Each species learned differently, communicated differently, saw the world through different perspectives. But that diversity was strength, not weakness. One of her former students, a human girl who had grown up with classmates, was now a diplomat herself. Another, a boy, had become an engineer designing ships for the Accord fleet. They were the first generation to see different species not as aliens, but as neighbors and friends. Merchant Federation had grown into something much larger. The underground trade routes he had established during the Archon blockade were now official Accord shipping lanes. Hundreds of independent traders moved goods between member worlds, creating economic connections that strengthened the alliance. The Archons still tried to interfere. They pressured neutral stations to refuse Accord ships. They offered deals to civilizations that stayed loyal to the Council. But their power was fading. Without their energy monopoly, without their control over trade, they were just another empire among many. Had just negotiated a trade agreement with 3 civilizations that had been Archon allies just last year. They were quietly shifting their allegiance, seeing that the Accord offered opportunity while the Archons offered only control. "The old order is dying," he told his crew. "Maybe not today or tomorrow, but it is dying, and we are building something better to replace it." Military reforms had transformed Earth's defense fleet into the Accord security force. It was not designed for conquest. Its mission was to protect member worlds from aggression and ensure free passage through Accord space. The force included ships from 17 different civilizations. Human captains commanded crews. Engineers served on vessels. They trained together, fought together when necessary, and trusted each other with their lives. 3 member worlds had faced pirate attacks in the past year. The security force had responded each time, driving off the raiders and protecting civilians. 2 of those worlds had been considering joining the Accord. After seeing the protection offered, they joined immediately. "We do not threaten anyone," told new recruits at the training facility. "But we will defend our people. Every member of the Accord deserves to live without fear." Had been traveling constantly, meeting with civilizations that were still deciding whether to join the Accord. His diplomatic skills had brought 17 new members into the alliance. He understood that each civilization needed something different. Some wanted economic opportunity. Others wanted protection. Some simply wanted to be part of something better than what they had known. He was good at showing them that the Accord offered all of those things. Had become the official historian of the Accord. Her book about the crisis was required reading in every member world. She documented how one species' courage to stand up for refugees had sparked a revolution that changed the galaxy. She was working on a new book now, interviewing people from all member species. What did the Accord mean to them? How had their lives changed? What kind of future did they imagine? The answers filled her with hope. People were dreaming bigger than they ever had before. They saw possibilities that the old order had never allowed them to imagine. In the Accord station observation deck, stood beside. She was the young woman had befriended years ago, now an ambassador herself. Her skin glowed with warm amber, the color of gratitude that had become familiar to all humans. "The galaxy rejected us," said softly, looking at the ships docked outside. "We thought we would die in space, alone, forgotten." "But you did not," said. "No, because humanity did not just welcome us. You showed the galaxy what they should have been all along. You started something that grew beyond anything you imagined." More ships appeared, dropping out of hyperspace. New arrivals, new members, new possibilities. "We did it together," said. "Humans, all of us. That is the real lesson. Alone, we are vulnerable. Together, we are strong. He thought about the scared refugees who had arrived at Earth Station 5 years ago. He thought about the decision humanity had made, the risks they had taken. It could have gone so wrong. They could have lost everything. But they had not lost. They had won, not through weapons or threats, but through compassion and courage. They had proven that standing up for what was right, even when it was dangerous, could change the galaxy. The Archons were still out there. The old council still existed. There would be more challenges ahead, but the Accord was growing stronger every day, and the future belonged not to empires and monopolies, but to those who chose cooperation over control. The galaxy had rejected but humanity had welcomed them, and in doing so, humanity had helped create a galaxy worth living in.